Hey, good morning, everyone. Chris Wilson here, coming back with our podcast series on grassroots healing, teaching you how to be an advocate and a master of your own health. And today I just wanted to talk a little bit about Dale Carnegie's book. It's been a long time since I read it, but it's a great read, and it's Stop Worrying and Start Living. Great book, and he's got a couple of great books that are out there. I'm pretty sure some of you are familiar with Dale Carnegie. As we live in this world today of this fast-paced society and the epidemics of chronic illnesses, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, and obesity, and cancer, cardiovascular disease, and depression, anxiety. A lot of these can be triggered by our responses to our environment around us through stress. And I've been doing a lot of research on different hormones that are produced in our fight or flight mode of our parasympathetic nervous system, and that is when we're stressed. And the body doesn't know the difference between reality and non-reality. So meaning watching an event on TV, thinking of an event in your mind, or actually experiencing a stressful event. All of these different interactions can create stress within the body, and our body doesn't know the difference between the perception of it being real or something that we conjure up in our own head or that we see on TV. And so it's a lot different today with our fast-paced society because we constantly are inundated with stress from all angles. And as you know, stressful jobs can be very, very dangerous, and an excessive amount of worrying is obviously bad for your health. Now, everyone worries, and few realize though how damaging it is to our health, because worrying excessively can actually make you physically ill. I think I talked about this last week about how your thoughts, you can unlock your health by the way your mindset, by what you believe, and how you think unlocks your potential health. There was a Greek philosopher who, I think he was because of his dualistic mindset, but he talked about how the mind and the body are intimately linked. Obviously, science proves that. Obviously, our Creator has designed us so intricately well that our body is so smart. And just looking at all of the little small details and the power of what our body can do, giving itself the chance to even heal. The Mayo brothers, who are the Mayo Clinic, famous physicians, once declared that over half of our hospital beds are occupied by people suffering from frustration, anxiety, worry, and despair. Arthritis, for example, is one of many debilitating conditions which can be brought on by worry. That's crazy, and I'll link some PubMed links in the description below detailing what worry can do and the power of the mind and it bringing upon chronic illness in the body. And if you like the content here, if you haven't been here before, please hit that like button on the videos if you do like them and enjoy them. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and share these if you know someone who could benefit from this. And I appreciate that ahead of time. But the two leading causes of arthritis are worry related. Obviously, probably the two biggest are marital shipwrecks and financial woes. Being in financial distress and not having the best relationship with your spouse. There are also medical cases that suggest that worrying can increase the likelihood of insanity and diabetes. Get that? So it's clear that worrying is obviously bad for your health. Unfortunately for us, there are causes of worry everywhere, and they are especially common in the work that we do. For me, I drive a dump truck, so I constantly have to worry about meeting the demands of other people at their time. And sometimes things don't always go their way nor my way, because I'm out and about in the real world of traffic, and I can get onset delays from traffic due to other drivers that get into wrecks, or I can get held up at job sites, or you got to factor in so much time, and it all trickles downhill from people who are above them in their pay grade and in their position, and they're just meeting the demands of other people on these job sites. And a very worldly job. It's something I'm trying to transition and get out of. There's plenty of people in the world to do the world's work for them, as I was told by a good friend of mine. And high pressure jobs tend to generate more worrying and predictably more illness than calmer, more tranquil jobs. The high stress levels we associate with high pressure jobs can lead to heart disease, obviously. The hypertension, high blood pressure that's chronically induced from so much stress on the body. One study showed that more than a third of business executives suffer from heart disease, stomach ulcers, and high blood pressure, all of which come from inducive stress. Another study found that 20 times as many doctors as farm workers die from heart failure. This means that if you're in a highly stressful job that causes you worry, you might need to find a way to fight worrying, or you may soon wind up with an ulcer, or maybe fighting for your own health. Confusion causes worry, so it's best to get the facts about your worries and solve the problem. And how would you feel if someone told you on, one morning or on a Sunday evening that come Monday morning you would be thrown into a torture chamber? That would be pretty pretty mind-boggling. Yet the apostles of the first century probably experienced quite a bit of this when they were imprisoned, shackled for their rightful defense of the belief of the faith of the first century with the onset persecution of the Roman Empire. You think they worried? Probably. You think they had some rays of hope, given the fact that they were just with their Messiah? Would you worry? But would there be a way to deal with those worries? One author, Herbert E. Hawks, the dean of Columbia College, said that confusion is the chief cause of worry. According to him, few people bother analyzing the facts of their situation when they are worried. He proposed that all kinds of worries can be resolved by applying a simple 3-step analysis. And there was a person that's what they did. They followed this protocol. Galen Litchfield in 1942, when stuck in Japanese-occupied Shanghai, he got the news that a Japanese admiral had found out about the assets he'd hidden from the Japanese. His punishment was to be thrown into the notorious torture chamber of the Japanese secret police following that week. And he heard the news the night prior, and he wondered what to do. So his solution was to follow these 3 steps. First, get the facts about why you're worried. Litchfield took a typewriter and wrote down what he was worried about, obviously being tortured to death in the morning. He analyzed the facts, and he wrote about what can he do about it. And underneath listed his various options, like fleeing, explaining himself, or acting like nothing happened. And then third, he made a decision about what to do and do it. So Litchfield decided his only option was to go into work like nothing had happened. Apparently, the Japanese admiral had calmed down, for he merely scowled at Litchfield, and as you can see, analyzing your worries carefully can even save your life sometimes. Thankfully for his case, once you decided how to address your worries, we need to take action, never look back. So have you ever made a decision in life only to constantly second guess it afterwards? Boy, have I done that many times. This tendency is very common in people. We constantly wonder whether we did the right thing and whether there might still be time to take another path. Taking big risks, trying to quit your day job and start a health business on the side, move into it full time. There's some worry in there, worrying on how you're going to pay the bills and get it done, and hoping that you made the right decision. It's a common tendency, and it can also be very damaging if you fail, but at least you don't have to worry about the what if. You kind of know what happened, and you don't ever have to hang on to that what if. So it can be fun at the same time. But like I said, it can be very damaging when you're trying to find ways to address your worries. When you're trying to decide how to resolve a worrying issue, you do of course need to start by analyzing the facts. Remember that you've already made your decision, so act decisively on it and dismiss all your anxiety about it. Don't stop for a moment to hesitate or to reconsider or to retrace your steps, because the slightest doubt can lead to a chain reaction of doubts, unraveling all the analysis and work you've already put into addressing your worries. So once you've chosen a course of action, be sure to stick to it and never waver. Otherwise, you'll find yourself back at square one. And live for today, Keep the worries of yesterday and tomorrow out of your head, for the scripture says, don't worry about for tomorrow, for today has enough trouble of its own. The Apostle Paul also said that do all things without murmuring and grumbling, that is, to do all things without complaining or arguing. That's a tough one that I struggle with a lot, because it's really easy to find yourself in complaining and negativity, but you got to remember, we got to stay positive. In hindsight, look at the bigger picture ahead. Look at who we're serving, whether it's our family, whether it's those around us, whether it's our children. Trying to be the best example for them that we can be, so they can be imitators of not only us, but our Messiah, our Heavenly Father. So I'm pretty sure you spent a night tossing and turning, mulling over something that happened in the past or that might happen in the future. And if you've done that, you're not alone, because most people have. But to what end have they done this? Worrying about the past or future is pointless. There was another writer named Stephen Leacock. He described this absurdity aptly by describing a child who speaks of, when I am a big boy. Then when the child is a big boy, he says, when I grow up. As a grown up, he says, when I am married. And as a married man, he thinks, when can I retire? But when he has retired and looks back over the distance he has come, he will feel a cold wind and realize he has missed it all and is too late. Therefore, to avoid such a sad fate, you should only live in the present. Much as a ship has different watertight compartments, you need day-tight compartments, a way to limit your attention to the present day and protect yourself from useless rumination on the past or speculation about the future. The rule is simple. Whatever happened in the past or might happen in the future must not intrude upon today. Of course, now this isn't to say that you can't plan, because we can and should still plan and prepare for the future, but there's often little use in worrying about it. The best kind of preparation for that future is to do the very best that you can in your life and work in the present moment to build your legacy for the future of what you're going to leave behind in your children. What can you instill into them? One example of someone who benefited from this advice is a widow who was near suicidal with grief and loneliness. While reading an article one day, she stumbled across the quote, "Every day is a new life to a wise man." Inspired by these words, the widow repeated them to herself each morning thereafter, ultimately finding success and happiness in her life. Yesterday is dead, and tomorrow is unborn, so don't worry about them. Instead, focus only on what you can do today. So just keep that in mind, my friends, because we live in a very busy, fast-paced world, and we can lose track of time, and things can slip through our fingers very quickly. And we got to hold in sight what we're trying to attain for what's ahead. If you believe in the Bible like I myself do, we must always be looking to pursue righteousness and to live a humble lifestyle in loving others. Serving brings forth the greatest joy, and having gratitude, second, brings forth happiness. And so many people try to buy their happiness with materialistic things, or creating a mindset of, well, whenever I become wealthy, I'll truly be happy. But if you live in the moment and just be grateful for the things you already have and for those around you, and if you just get yourself out of the way and look at how you can be an impact by serving someone else, your worries will tend to go down, because your only focus is on how you can make someone else's life better through serving. And when we kind of picture our Messiah, who didn't come here to be served, but rather to serve, it's a great example of how we can humble ourselves. Something I desperately try to practice each day, and sometimes I utterly fail at it. But it's through these failures I get to learn to push forward the next day, to learn from the mistakes I created, to not make them again, to be a good impact on my children and my wife, to be a good husband, a good leader, a good father. It is tough. It's hard. We're doing the best that we can in this life, and obviously, as every parent, they want their children to have a better life than what they had, and so just don't lose focus on being so busy that you forget the time with your children. Something I too am trying to balance out, and I think that's the key, is somehow, some way, trying to find balance in everything it is that we do, remembering the time spent with our loved ones, how much time we spend with our loved ones, versus the lesser things of our daily life. Time is the most valuable asset because it's that we won't get back. So we must choose to spend our time very wisely. And with that, my friends, I just hope that y'all have a blessed day, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Have a healthy day.